Welcome to this edition of Newsgram. Captain James Birchim, a member of the U.S. Army Special Forces, also known as the Green Berets, disappeared in action while serving in Vietnam on November 15th of 1968. According to findings, he was on a special operations mission in Laos, a country where the U.S. was not officially active at the time. Here's his wife, Barbara.
My husband, I knew, was Special Forces when he went over there, but I didn't know for 30 years that my husband had been pulled into special operations. So that told me why in my searching that I was being blocked for information. And to be honest with you, I'm still being blocked. The CIA and DIA still have classified documents on my husband, and it's over 50 years.
Barbara has never accepted the official account of her husband's disappearance and has since written 2 books detailing her investigation and what she discovered about other missing servicemen.
The first book I wrote on this issue is called Is Anybody Listening? And that is nonfiction, and I lay out how this issue has been handled since World War II all the way up to 2005. And I name names, I name the presidents and the, department heads and all that. And then I run my journey through it as I become aware of why aren't they telling me the truth?
And that journey to find the truth has now led her to publish a second book, appropriately titled Searching for the Truth. According to official records, the mission took place in South Vietnam, but Barbara's research and multiple first-hand accounts place it deep in Laos, where the U.S. was not officially operating. Now, this contradiction becomes the first red flag. Anyway, I'm going to do my best to put together the official statement from the government regarding what happened. According to official reports, on November 15, 1968, during the height of the Vietnam War, Lieutenant James Douglas Birchim was leading an 8-man long-range reconnaissance patrol. He was part of a covert operations unit that carried out dangerous missions far behind enemy lines. That day, Birchim and his team were ambushed by enemy forces. Amid the chaos, he suffered serious injuries, a broken ankle, and fragmentation wounds. Despite the pain, he managed to call for extraction. And help came the next morning in the form of 2 helicopters prepared to pull the team out using McGuire rigs, a rope system designed for rapid lifts in dense jungle. But something went wrong. During the extraction, Lieutenant Birchim fell from the helicopter from an altitude of about 2,500 feet, and his body was never recovered. To this day, the U.S. government maintains this account, and Captain James Birchim remains one of the thousands still unaccounted for from the Vietnam War. Now, I want to take you back to the conflicting location because that was the big red flag for Barbara.
I started networking with helicopter pilots, and they're like, no. As a matter of fact, we at that time didn't fly in on a mission with full fuel tanks.
That detail, fuel loads, it might seem minor, but to Barbara, it pointed out something much bigger. Was this poor planning or possibly an impossible mission from the start?
Because we had to realize that we were picking up 4 men and equipment, so we couldn't have that extra weight. So they have to do a weight and balance kind of thing. So a lot of times they didn't even go in with full fuel tanks.
And then she uncovered something else that added a whole new layer to the story.
And that helicopter had already reached what they call the bingo, which means you've only got a couple of minutes left to get back to base. And they reached the bingo before this helicopter even turned around and saw the flash of light for where the pickup zone was for the last 4 men. And then they had him missing way into Vietnam, way out of range of the Kontum or FOB2. It was stupid.
Now, the part of this I do understand is that these types of operations were and still are highly classified, so the exact locations of missions like these are often obscured for security reasons. But there were other aspects of the story that just didn't sit right with Barbara, and she found out that eventually, if you ask enough questions to the right people, some of the truth will come out.
He was the leader of a team, a large team that was sent into Laos, which we weren't supposed to be there at that time. But they became surrounded by the enemy, and he called for extraction. And the extraction got the first set of guys out, but it didn't get the last ones out, namely my husband. They were on what they call strings, which are ropes hanging from the bottom of a helicopter, and they were being pulled through triple canopy. And unfortunately, there were 4 men, and there were only 3 viable strings. So it's my understanding at this point, after all the research I've been doing and networking I've been doing, that Jim was left behind on that pickup zone.
Yeah, a pickup zone that technically didn't exist. The government never had a pickup zone marked because this extraction was in enemy territory, deep into Laos. Which makes sense now, but for Barbara, it just opened the door for more questions. So she set out to get answers from people with firsthand knowledge.
I've been networking with a lot of veterans. I joined Special Forces Association. That led me to be brought into special operations. They found a way for me to become a member of the Special Ops guys, and I got a whole lot of information there.
But with new information comes the possibility of new risks.
Government's not happy with me because they like to come in and out of my house when I'm gone and go through my files and just do all kinds of things. And thank God my neighbors watched this happening, because it was when I was out of town or at work. And it just continues. I mean, the last event of this kind of strangeness was after I wrote Searching for the Truth. And they came in and did some things, and they're just crazy. They're just crazy. So I've had to make a kind of a joke out of the whole thing in order to survive.
So who was rifling through her house while she was gone? We may never really know, but I can say all this activity does not sit well with someone like Barbara, and all it does is drive her to keep digging, to keep networking, and to keep doing all she can to piece together what actually happened, in the hopes of completing this puzzle and finding some peace with the situation. Here's what Barbara believes actually happened. Brace yourself.
I think that I know that he was left behind. I think he was taken by the enemy and imprisoned. He was moved along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. He was wounded. I know that. And I believe not only a head wound, but shrapnel in his back and a broken ankle. And he was moved into Cambodia to the V211 hospital.
And then this part of the story sounds like something out of a spy novel.
They moved the hospital into South Vietnam, and at that time he escaped back into U.S.-held territory. They realized that he didn't remember he was Jim Birchim any longer because of this head wound, and they gave him a new identity, and they sucked him right into the government's CIA affairs, because SOB, Special Ops, was being driven by the CIA. And I tracked him to Northeast Thailand. He had a family and was living in Northeast Thailand. And I believe he died about 12 to 15 years ago.
I told you it was a lot. So how did the story change from a simple extraction gone wrong to living a new life in Northeast Thailand? Well, it's enough to fill up 2 books. And the first one is called Is Anybody Listening?
And that is nonfiction. And I lay out how this issue has been handled since World War II, all the way up to 2005. And I name names. I name the presidents and the, department heads and all that. And then I run my journey through it as I become aware of why aren't they telling me the truth?
The second book is called Searching for the Truth, where she lays out her newest findings and encourages family members of a missing in action loved one to be the advocate for that serviceman or servicewoman. She says you have to be a cold case detective when searching for answers. You need to be relentless when you're researching and networking.
I hope that those who are in the military, the families of military men, will realize that they really have to dig. They have to network. They are the detectives. You have to be the advocate. No matter how many times the government tells you to just be quiet and go away and we're working on it, that's not the truth. And there are not any kind of cold case detectives in any of these alphabet soup groups and agencies. And so you become the virtual authority on your case. And I go to these government briefings once a year, and I have to remind each and every one of the alphabet soup guys, no, that's not right. Here's the document to prove it. This is your document on your letterhead, and you don't even know that you've got it.
Barbara Birchim's fight isn't just about one man. It's about accountability, transparency, and the forgotten loved ones. Her books, Is Anybody Listening and Searching for the Truth, are a testament to that mission. If you enjoy a real-life espionage-adjacent story with shadowy government operations, classified documents, and possible identity erasure, then check out Is Anybody Listening and Searching for the Truth. Both books are affordable now and available online wherever you like to buy books. And if you Google her name, you'll find them right away. Her last name is spelled Birchim. And that will do it. Thank you for listening to today's edition of Newsgram from webtalkradio.com.